Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order, welcome to Panwo TV. It's all going down in Gatwick Airport. Something strange is happening. I only found out about this basically today. I got home, opened up my emails, I'm preparing for a Panwo show this evening, the Christmas special. So tune in if I upload this before then. If not, listen to the podcast. And I found out there's been a massive hoo-ha at Gatwick Airport, caused by, apparently, drones. Yes, Matthew Williams, they're on to you. It's a weird sort of situation where drones have been flown over the airport, where there's an exclusion zone over the airport where drone operators are not allowed to go. And apparently some people have been breaching these particular rules and regulations and been flying drones right over the airport. There's apparently it's not terrorist related. It's apparently just some people trying to cause disruption, as people do. What's happened? The result of this is the airport has been shut down. The airport was shut down at 7 PM yesterday evening, and like I said, I didn't know about this at the time because I was at a Christmas party which my brother had organised. I got straight home from that, went to bed, went to work, came home from work, opened up my emails, and someone's emailed me about it saying, "Ben, what do you think is going on at Gatwick Airport right now?" And I said, "What's that?" And I checked it up, and yes, indeed, that's when I found out. The airport's actually not scheduled to reopen until at least 7 PM this evening, which is about an hour and a half from now. If then, it may go on a lot longer. Not sure what's happening, what the real cause is, but I think we should question the official story on this. And I'll just go through the news clips for you, and we'll pick it up after that. Alright, so here's what we know so far, which is not a lot. There's news reports about this, but it's not very revealing as such. What they've just said is tens of thousands of passengers have been disrupted by drones flying over one of the UK's busiest airports. Gatwick's runway has been shut down since Wednesday at 7 PM because devices were flying over the airfield, apparently. Sussex police say it was not terror related, but it was a deliberate act of disruption using industrial specification drones. About 110,000 passengers on 760 flights were due to fly on over today, that is Thursday, and the disruption could last for several days. And indeed, there's a video here which shows people sleeping on the floor in the terminal building. There are people on planes sleeping in the seats. They're not allowed to disembark because these are from arrival flights. They're not allowed to disembark because the terminal's overcrowded. Oh, it's a nightmare. I do feel sorry for these passengers. I must say, I really do. It's pretty really awful. And so flights have been cancelled, and they're going to continue to be cancelled until 7 PM tonight at the earliest. And the airport advised the runway will not open until it's safe to do so. Now, there's an awful lot of fuss about this. They've got the police drone squad in. Apparently, there's a special police unit that deals with this. They're armed. They have snipers. And they've actually ruled out shooting the drones down because they say the stray bullets might cause damage. Well, the question has to be then, and I've been talking to someone in the local area about this. The question is then, why can't they find the controllers? Yes, Matthew Williams, they're coming for you. You think you can get away with it, don't you? Yeah. It should be easy enough. I mean, in a sense, I don't know. I'm not an expert on this, alright, so I say it should be easy enough. I am speculating, but they have radio scanners. Drones operate like a remote control aircraft. They operate like all remote control aircraft do. They are controlled by a radio signal which comes from a remote source on the ground. They obviously don't have their own pilots. They're unmanned aircraft, and this radio signal. Is it encrypted? I mean, what is it? Can it be triangulated? Even if they can't decode it and jam it? I mean, is it possible they have some kind of electronic countermeasures that could deal with this? It's strange to see how something like this has caused such a furore. It really is very, very odd, and I'm still not sure exactly what's going on. But there's a huge fuss. The army is now there. I mean, this is it. The army has moved in. There's a drone. Here we go. Yeah, the army has been called in after tens of thousands of passengers affected by drone sightings at Gatwick Airport. Flights unable to take off or land as people being diverted to France
to Germany, to Edinburgh in Scotland. This person I know, who I'm hopefully going to meet up with actually in a couple of days, he has family and friends who are in the airline industry. One of them is an air stewardess for an airline that operates out of Gatwick, and she's basically stuck in Edinburgh because they diverted the flight. It was a transatlantic flight, I believe. They diverted it to Edinburgh. She landed there, and now she can't get home. They're putting everyone on coaches. They're trying to get coaches for the passengers and crew. And as I said, at least 1700. That's 7 p.m. tonight. 1700. I'm used to the 24-hour clock because the hospital does it. But 7 p.m. tonight for those who are not used to hospital time. So that's a lot. Yeah. Nothing to suggest this is terrorism related. Say Sussex Police. Passengers due to travel have been told to check the status of their flight. Just basically just forget it. If you're booked on a flight, just don't go anywhere near us. And the Civil Aviation Authorities just announced that this is an extraordinary event, they're calling it, which means it's kind of an act of God, which means that the airlines are not obliged to pay any compensation to the passengers. It's the usual thing. It's not their fault. National Express does the same thing with coaches. So they're not obliged to pay compensation. There's also a large number. There's such a large number, they probably don't like the idea of that anyway. So there's a news report here saying Gatwick drone shutdown. Will flights fly from Gatwick tomorrow? The EasyJet, the biggest operator of flights from Gatwick Airport, has issued a statement warning people who are travelling tomorrow there might still be disruption. There's no indication, they say, of when the airport might reopen. As a result, we have cancelled all flights due to operate from London from Gatwick today. That is Thursday the 20th. We expect disruption to continue into tomorrow, so advise all customers flying to and from London Gatwick to check the status of their flights. Customers on cancelled flights will be entitled to a free change, transfer or alternative flight. Oh, that's something anyway. Or hotel accommodation. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Will reimburse any reasonable expenses incurred by passengers who arrange their own comparable alternative transport. The safety of the passengers and crew remains our highest priority. Whilst the situation is outside of our control, we recognise how frustrating this is for everyone involved. I would like to apologise to passengers for this disruption of their travel plans. Yeah. Ryanair have said something similar. They say today's disruption is totally unprecedented. I don't know if Ryanair people talk like that. It's basically this major hub within the international railway network has been shut down apparently by drones, and they can't seem to be able to deal with it. The police don't seem to be able to deal with it. They've called in the bloody army, and there's, according to my contact, who's ex-military, and apparently knows all this about this sort of thing. There were some strange people walking around in plain clothes, tooled up with weapons that the police are not normally issued with, and he claims they're special forces. He claims they're military special forces. There could be. It's the kind of thing that these people often do. They're often brought in to support other services with extra firepower, so to speak. But firepower? We're talking about the equivalent of Matthew Williams, who's a plane spotter. What the hell is going on? I mean, what's the worst they can do? Get onto YouTube and have a rant, which is what Matthew does. I don't get it. I really don't get what's going on here. It's really mysterious. The rest of the news is just the sort of thing that you'd expect, such as Gatwick cancels flights to Jersey, which is awkward because that island is basically dependent on Gatwick. Tens of thousands of people stranded on Jersey. Drones ruin honeymoon trip, and a final granny. Apparently, oh dear, someone was going to go and see their sick grandmother who's about to die, and they can't go now. The drone has destroyed our Christmas, says someone else. There's lots of videos of people standing in queues and sitting on the floor of the terminal. Oh, it's all kinds of thing. There's staying in Birmingham would seem more sensible, said someone else. There's people. This has a knock-on effect of the entire network. There's a air traffic controllers call for stricter drone rules. I mean, this is strange here. What's going on here? Oh yeah, GATCO. This is the Guild of Air Traffic Controller Officers. They condemn the irresponsible and criminal action taken by those flying drones over Gatwick Airport. Really? Well, why can't they catch these people? Don't they know where they're coming from? Can't they round them up? Haven't they got Matthew Williams or whoever it is locked up somewhere? I mean, honestly, man, come on, police, get your. This is what we're paying you for, aren't we? The queues are massive. The queues are just they're snaking across the terminals. They're going backwards and forwards. I mean, they're just everyone's shoulder to shoulder in the terminal building. Oh, and the Cobra meeting has taken place. This is the cross-government meeting from this the Prime Minister chairs, which is for national security issues. It's very, very similar to FEMA in the United States. They're holding meetings now. Oh, it's just I don't know what's going on. It's like really it's really sort of like a really odd world. So yeah, what's going to happen next? I don't know. But there's someone called Hope Laurenida who is really stuck where she is and she doesn't know what to do. She's feeling like she's been talking on Skype. She's become a bit of a minor celebrity because of this. We'll have to see how this goes. But I mean, this is all we know so far. That's all we know. So there will be more details as they appear, and I will be sure to report them.
So there's just questions, no answers right now. We're still not sure what's happening. We know there was a cover story coming out, which no one seems a bit incredible, to be honest. It's not just me saying it. It's this other guy who I'm in touch with. He's saying he knows a lot about these sort of things. He's saying it as well. So what could be the cause? What could be the real cause? If this is a cover story for something, in other words, they're just making up this story about drones, which does seem a bit odd. It reminds me very much of the Hull situation, or not necessarily the Hull situation I talked about in the last video, the Penturk update, directly, but the one that happened before, where Typhoon jets were scrambled by the RAF because apparently an airliner went missing over the north of England, and so they broke the sound barrier and people detected sonic booms and leads and things like that. So it was definitely a real urgent event. And to intercept this airliner and check everything was all right, and they made contact with the airliner and they escorted the pilot into land at Heathrow. But the thing about it is, there were no interviews with the pilots, there was no interviews with the crew, there was no interviews with the passengers, there was no footage or vlogs or anything from that particular flight. Which leads me to believe it was a cover-up. It was a cover-up, I believe, for a UFO incident over the North Sea. And I tackle this on one of the previous UFO disclosure videos, so I'm not going to go into it now. I can't remember which one, unfortunately, it's a long time ago. There's a lot of them, I know. So you'll have to find it for yourself. I'm sorry, I can't do any better than that. This sounds similar. It's a pretty incredulous tale that some fools with an unmanned aircraft, a remote-controlled aircraft, have shut down one of the world's biggest and busiest airports. And the police seem to be unable to deal with it quickly. Now, my contact actually says, he actually says, as I said, a drone is an aircraft that, by its very nature, has to have a radio contact with someone on the ground. And which means that if that radio signal can be located, it can be triangulated, it can be decoded, and the controller can be found. In other words, the police will know where it's coming from, they'll be able to pinpoint it, go round and nick the guy who did it. But it's taking this long, it's taking so long to do it. What is this? I mean, is this a coordinated attack by drone nerds? Doesn't make sense to me. Is something else going on? This could be something. It could be something related to, I don't know. It could be some kind of. It could be a terrorist incident they don't want to tell us about. But I mean, my friend who lives in the local area said, there's people. They haven't evacuated anyone from. There's a village at the end of the runway because Gatwick's in a rural location. So it's not like a city, but there's like communities and there's settlements near there, and they haven't evacuated anyone. We don't know at the moment that people can go in and out of the airport, but it's possible they might seal the whole thing off. I don't know. He thinks it's possible they might seal the whole thing off. We'll have to find out. But we'll see how it develops over the next day or two. I mean, it's only just over 24 hours, just under 24 hours since this whole situation arose. Could it be something UFO related? That's the question. I mean, that is a serious point you've got to make. I mean, so far there's been no. Obviously, there are a large number of people in the airport, more than usual because people can't get on flights. So there's a bottleneck of passengers. None of those so far are saying anything related to some kind of UFO event. If they're able to from within the terminal building, or I don't know how good the view is outside from these terminal buildings, whether they're able to actually film any strange objects that are not drones but might be something from further afield flying over the airport. I don't think it's the Russians, because otherwise the government would have said so, because they can't resist an opportunity to blame the Russians for everything. I mean, the government at the moment are treating the Russians rather like Michael Shrimpton treats the Germans. I mean, basically they're responsible for every bad thing that happens in the world, from the death of the dodo onwards. So if it was the Russians, I think the government would have been leaping at the chance to say so. I don't know what's going to happen now. We'll have to wait and see. I'm calling this the Gatwick Airport Part 1 because there's going to be more. In fact, I'm hoping at some point in the next few days to be able to take a trip to the location. I don't know how much success I'll have with that. I don't know when I'll be going. Or I've got plans which I won't reveal because I don't want to jeopardise the operation. But I've got plans to actually, with this contact I have in the area, to actually visit the location. And obviously I will take my trusty Panwo TV camera with me, and there will be a part 2, 3, 4, however many it takes as a result of this crisis. So that's all I can say right now. This is an interim report. There's more coming. One way or another, I will pursue this story. Whether this might escalate into a complete shutdown and people banned from the airport, or the airport might reopen and things will calm down a bit. Either way, I think this validates further study, and I will be doing that, and you will find out about it on this channel. Thank you for watching Panwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.